Hello and welcome to a new edition of Punk Rock Politics. Boy, do I have a ton of news to cover today. It doesn't look like I'm going to get any sleep. So let's start by saying this election is being stolen. I'm going to back it up with a ton of videos and evidence. There's some new exit polls by one of the few companies that still conducts, or agencies that still conducts exit polls, showing that it looks like 97,000 vote discrepancy for Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. All the polling showed leading up to it that Bernie Sanders was going to win Super Tuesday at worst case scenario 8 states. And there's voter discrepancies all over the place. But we're going to start with a Boston Globe article in this video just to ease you into it. Please actually listen, because this is from the Department of Homeland Security and the Government Accountability Office. This is so you can't say this is some crazy fake conspiracy theory. It's a real conspiracy theory. So, and we need to stop having to make that distinction. Conspiracy theories happen all the time. So let's see. We got Watchdog chides U.S. agency over election security issues. Okay, this is by Joe Davidson of the Washington Post. This was posted March 9th, 2020 at 8:48 p.m. Washington. Just as the presidential primary season began, a government watchdog warned the Trump administration that it urgently needed to address problems with election security infrastructure. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, CISA, part of the Department of Homeland Security, was to have finalized plans by January to support states and localities with their election security operations. That did not happen, according to the Government Accountability Office, or GAO, report. While noting that state election officials generally were very satisfied with CISA's election-related work, the report said the agency is not well positioned to execute a nationwide strategy for securing election infrastructure prior to the start of the 2020 election cycle because it has not completed plans. As if to prove the point, shortly before the GAO findings were released in February, the Iowa caucuses ended in a debacle when a new app for reporting results failed, plunging the first contest of the season into disarray. Then, during Super Tuesday last week, voting machine malfunctions and other technical problems combined with higher than expected turnout, leaving some voters in Texas and California waiting hours to cast ballots. While much attention has been focused on Russia's attempts to interfere in the presidential election, these cases point to homegrown preparedness problems. The Watchdog's report indicates the federal government was not fully prepared to deal with the challenges that have developed in this still young election season. According to the report, cybersecurity agency officials said they are unlikely to develop plans for election security assistance to political parties or come up with strategies for raising public awareness about foreign threats. Moreover, it added, CISA has not developed plans for how it will address challenges, including 1. A lack of actionable recommendations in classified threat briefings. This could hinder the ability of state election officials to effectively communicate with information technology and other personnel in their agencies who did not have security clearances. GAO suggested DHS offer unclassified briefings. The Department of Homeland Security is DHS. 2. The failure of CISA personnel supporting election security operations to access social media websites, which hindered their collection and analysis of threat information. 3. The ability of staffers to quickly provide election day resources, which could limit the agency's timelines. I'm going to read that sentence again. The inability of staffers to quickly provide election day resources, which could limit the agency's timeliness in responding to an incident. Money apparently isn't the problem. Congress provided CISA $43.5 million in December, nearly double the requested amount, to improve election security and counter foreign influence on our elections, said an email from Representative Lucille Roybal Allard, a California Democrat and chairwoman of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security. She is one of 4 members of Congress who received the report. She urged the agency to move even more quickly to help jurisdictions prepare for and respond to attacks on election systems. The Cybersecurity Agency agreed with the GAO recommendation to issue a plan that fully addresses all lines of effort for securing election infrastructure for the upcoming elections. A statement from the agency defended its record, saying it has been getting ready for 3 years, including through preparation exercises with state and local officials. CISA is better prepared and more ready to support our partners across the election community than ever before, according to the agency. Today we are working with all 50 states and more than 2,400 jurisdictions. The whole of government effort to secure elections has been unprecedented. Our work is not done. We continue to build and grow every day, but we understand the threat and the need to take action to keep our system safe, and we are ready for 2020. Jeanette Senecal, the League of Women Voters Senior Director of Mission Impact, agrees the agency's work is not done, but takes a much dimmer view of the work it has already done. The findings in this report are highly problematic, she said by email. Cyber threats have only evolved since 2016, and more needs to be done to safeguard our elections and protect our democracy. It is a mistake for this administration not to take more proactive measures to address the underlying problems. Responding to the agency's acknowledgement that it won't issue plans for increasing public information on foreign threats, Senecal said perhaps the most troubling piece is the finding that DHS may have misled state and local officials about the support they would be providing to secure state and local systems related to public awareness about misinformation and foreign influence. Now that state and local election officials will not be receiving the support they were expecting, she added, it is critical for the federal government to work with nonprofits like hers to fill that void and ensure the public has trusted information to participate in our elections. After GAO released its study, DHS released a strategic plan that partially addresses issues in the report, according to Vijay D'Souza, GAO's Director of Cybersecurity issues. We would still hope that the operations plan is finalized and that DHS fully addresses and challenges issues it had identified in its own reviews, he said. To date, we haven't seen evidence that it is completed. All right. There's a lot to discuss here, but you know what? This is a really important topic. So maybe instead of doing two separate videos, I will do one separate video. You just got to bear with me. I'm going to pull this up. Oh, God. What's his name? I forgot his name. This should find it. Sorry, just give me a second here. I'm not finding it because I don't think they want you to find it. Well, I want to jump ahead. You know what? Yeah, I don't know. The problem is that the thing I'm using to record the tablet right here is where I was watching the video, and I typed in like the name of this video, and it didn't pop up on the Google search, but I'll type it up here on YouTube and see what happens. I'm going to play you this video. Oh my God, what does he call his, alright, here, this was definitely worth the wait. I got the video, I realized I could pause it. You just gotta watch it and then we'll discuss. Sorry, there's an audio problem, and I don't know what the problem is, but apparently my audio is down. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay. It says the media is all the way up, so why isn't it playing?
Everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. As you can see, I'm coming to you from a hotel room in New York City this time around, but I needed to talk to you now because it's important. Couldn't wait for tomorrow. The exit poll shit is happening all over again, where you can see that the exit polls and the machine results are varying, meaning it is showing us fraud. It is showing us fraud in these primaries in one form or another. On Redacted Tonight, I already went through how the number of provisional ballots, the number of polling places closed in these various states, Texas and California specifically, were specifically designed, sorry to use specifically twice, right back to back like that. I know that was probably very stressful for you. Anyway, I'll try not to use specifically the word anymore within this specific video. But in those two states, it showed immense suppression and various manipulation of the election in order to stop Bernie Sanders from winning those elections. Now we're seeing the difference between the exit polls and the machine results. So what I'm about to go through is coming to you from TDMS Research, which you can also look up for yourself online, tdmsresearch.com. Basically what they do is they take the exit polls and compare them to the machine results. What we're told is the actual vote in in these states. As I mentioned before, there are very few exit polls. Basically, they got rid of most of the exit polls in order to make it more difficult for people like you and me to notice fraud in our primaries, in our general election, because exit polls are recognized worldwide as having legitimacy, as showing what should happen in an election if there's not fraud, okay? They're not some wild thing. They're done well. They're done accurately. In other countries, if they vary by 2%, just 2% compared to the machine results, then people say it's fraudulent and we need a recount, if not an entirely new election. And even our own USAID, which is connected to our CIA. It's basically our pretend humanitarian way of creating coups around the world. Even they say that 2% off for an exit poll points to fraud. And they've funded exit polls in various countries in order to show whether it was a legit election or not. So nowadays, there's really only one company left that does exit polling that is not connected to CNN or Fox News or something. They're called Edison Research. But as their own CEO said in a Washington Post article back in 2016, after they release the initial exit polls, they then alter their exit polls to fit the machine results, which is the opposite of an exit poll. That is a fucked up exit poll. Because if you're taking the unobservable, unaccountable machines and using it to connect, to change the exit polls, then you've taken the fraudulent, possibly fraudulent thing and wiped out the legitimate thing that's supposed to show the fraud. Anyway, when they initially show their exit polling, before they've altered them, before they've adjusted them for machine results, that is the number that TDMS Research grabs and compares it to the machine results. So they're grabbing it before it's been altered. At least that's the goal. And in a couple of states, in this last Super Tuesday, they were able to show that the exit polls are way off from the machine, the unobservable, unaccountable machine results. This is the same shit that happened in 2016. So let me go through a few of the numbers real quick. Let's begin with Massachusetts. The exit polls were very far off from the machine results in Massachusetts, which, as you remember, the polling coming out before Super Tuesday was saying, hey, Bernie Sanders is going to win this thing. Bernie Sanders is going to win Massachusetts. He's going to win Texas. He's going to win a lot of states, if not almost all of them. That's what the polling was showing. And then all of a sudden there was this crazy shift that showed him losing all these states. Especially when you consider that Joe Biden had like very little ground game, very little money, never appeared in Massachusetts. Then what the fuck happened? Well, here's what happened. When you add up the shift between Joe Biden's exit polls and his machine results and Bernie Sanders' exit polls and his machine results, you get 8.2%. That's the amount of shift. Double the 4% exit poll margin of error. Biden's exit polls showed that he got roughly 388,000 votes in Massachusetts. The machine results showed he got 448,500 votes in Massachusetts. A massive difference, a difference of over 60,000 votes. Bernie Sanders, if you go by what the exit polls were telling us, should have gotten 408,000 votes. You know, these are rough numbers, but close enough. And the computers showed that he got 358,000. A difference of negative 49,000 votes. He lost 49,000 votes in an election, Massachusetts, an election that only had 1,343,000 votes. So this is a huge shift. And if you add up the shift between Sanders and Warren, the amount they lost, it totals 97,000 votes less. And where did those votes go? Mainly to Biden and Bloomberg. So that was a shift of 8.2%. Now, here's something interesting. If you look at what happened in 2016, when the exit polls were also off during the primary, how much were they off between Bernie Sanders and Clinton? 8%. Very similar to what we saw this time, which would make sense. If this is a similar amount of fraud, it could be fractional voting, who knows, but it makes sense that these exit polls would be off in a similar amount. So basically, tens of thousands of votes are being shifted from the outside candidate, the anti-establishment candidates, Sanders and to some degree Warren, and shifted to the establishment candidates, Biden and Bloomberg. According to the exit polls in Texas, Sanders and Biden were roughly tied. However, the unobservable, unaccountable machine results show that Biden won by roughly 4.5%. That's double the margin of error. And the discrepancies between Sanders and Bloomberg were 5.4%. Basically, similar to Massachusetts, votes getting shifted from Sanders to Bloomberg and Biden, the two establishment candidates that were still running in Super Tuesday. So basically, if there were a legit election in Texas, it's fairly likely Bernie Sanders would have won or come very close to winning. If there were a legitimate election in Massachusetts, Bernie Sanders would have won. If there were a legitimate election in California, Bernie Sanders would have won by much more than he ended up winning by. Furthermore, Dallas County in Texas has asked for a recount after 10% of the vote was not counted. They found 44 thumb drives with votes on them afterwards, after they'd already reported this shit. Also, back in 2016, Clinton versus Sanders also had a difference between exit polls and machine results, a shift towards the establishment candidate. And here's the thing, if people want to say, well, it's just because, there are discrepancies, there's going to be shifts, who knows, things go wrong. Yeah, but these shifts always go in one direction. They always go towards the establishment. They always go towards the candidate that the corrupt DNC wants to win. And if you're one of these people that goes, well, TDSM research doesn't matter, these exit polls, they don't matter because they didn't count because they weren't adjusted with the machine results, which shouldn't happen really, but anyway, if you're one of these people who says exit polls don't matter, TDSMA says they got their head up their ass, even if you want to say all that, you should still be calling for legitimate elections. You should still be saying, fine, then here is the exit poll data, the raw exit poll data. Here is the open sourced code for these machines that we're supposed to trust. Here is all the information so that we can prove these are the legitimate elections. But we don't see that, do we? We are not told that, are we? We are attacked. We are told these elections are fine, and don't ask any more questions about it. If someone told you, oh no, it's all fine, but I'm not going to show you how the fuck it works, I'm not going to show you what's going down, isn't that a little suspicious? Not to mention the DNC in court, their lawyers in court, in a lawsuit, after the 2016 election, they said that the DNC has the right to rig the primary. It is their right to rig the primary, to put in the candidate they want. So, for all we know, that, yeah, these things may be rigged, but they're saying to themselves behind closed doors, well, it's our right to rig it, so why not? We want Biden in there. We don't want Bernie Sanders. We want the corporate candidate. Why not rig it? For all we know, that is their stance, and they're fine with that stance. So, fucking become transparent about it. Show it to us. Show us the open source of the machines. Show us the open audit of the machines. Show us the open raw data of the exit polls before they're adjusted to fit the machines. Show us all of that, and we will not complain anymore. How does that sound? Instead, we're doing it all over again. This is fucking Groundhog Day. This is Edge of Tomorrow. This is Russian Doll, that Netflix show. Those are all of the movies and shows I can think of where they repeat the same day over and over again. This is exactly what we're doing. We're doing 2016 all over again. Yeah, sure, they replaced Hillary Clinton with Biden. All right, great. But we're doing the same shit. We're allowing it to be rigged, and we're watching them, and they're fucking laughing at us. I'll have more on this on Redacted tonight. I'll also have more detailed, longer explanation on my podcast, Common Censored. You can find that for free wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this is important, please share it, get it out there, let people know that we got to stand up for legitimate elections, because if we don't have that, what the fuck do we have? All right, keep fighting.
All right, that was Lee Camp. Lee Camp's great. He does Redacted tonight. He's an awesome guy. He's really passionate. You'll probably hear some propaganda that video is illegitimate because it's owned by Russian television, but they're all American comedians and journalists and researchers. So it does not matter that it's owned by another company, by another nation. They don't say that about BBC, which is owned by the British government. They tried to say it a little bit about Al Jazeera. They actually did better investigative journalism than we've had in this country for like 30 or 40 years, maybe even more. But unfortunately, they took away Al Jazeera America. It was a great channel. So yeah, they're stealing the primaries. They're stealing them again. It's rigged. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And if they argue with you, you yell at them that they're either that they're complicit, in denial, or just repeating neoliberal or elite talking points, mainstream media talking points, whether they watch mainstream media. I know people that are claiming, making the same arguments as mainstream media, like verbatim, every single one. You can't call it rigged. That'll play into Trump's hand. Are you kidding me? Looks like Trump's administration wasn't is pretty happy with everything happening. Now it doesn't really matter if Biden or Trump wins, to Biden or Trump, because either way they get to just live in power and have all their corrupt connections and make all this money. And the same goes for Obama and Hillary Clinton and the whole litany of them. The Bush administration, all those guys, they're all friends. This is all a big scam. They're all wealthy and corrupt politicians and businessmen. They profit off the office. Look up how much Obama and his family are worth now. And they're calling. They're trying to say Bernie Sanders is a problem because he wrote one best-selling book about how he got screwed and how hard he fought for 2016. Now listen, Bernie Sanders didn't speak last night. The media is on full blitz asking why. I think Bernie Sanders is trying to figure out what to say. We need to call in the United Nations and other truly verified independent agencies that are trustworthy to monitor these elections and to dig in and audit every election that's happened so far. As he was saying, in other countries, if there's a over 2% error rate in the in the exit polls from the machines, if there's more than 2%, then the elections are considered illegitimate. This is all over the world. This is in Venezuela. This is in Russia. This is everywhere. They would be declared illegitimate elections by the United Nations, and if the world would push for for new elections or for the vote to be audited and corrected properly, if possible. So we're talking about a rigged primary. The 2020 primary is rigged. The Democratic Party is rigging the primary. It seems like the RNC, or at least Donald Trump, seems to be involved too. There's so much news, it's unbelievable. There's a new story out that I'm going to cover eventually. This is just such a big deal. This is so important. They're stealing this from our very eyes. Now, remember, all the data said that Bernie Sanders was going to win this election. I'm getting in arguments with other people, and they are just in bitter denial. Obviously, Bernie Sanders has the most volunteers. He has the most donations. The largest number of donations and the most money ever donated. All of this are records for a U.S. presidential campaign. When you look at some of Biden's rallies after Super Tuesday, there were literally like 30 or 40 people there, and there's a bunch of empty space. There was more people with cameras than there were there. He had no money and no volunteers or paid staff in almost all of these states, in both what happened last night and is happening into today and last week in Super Tuesday. Did you really believe, because he got a couple of elite endorsements, that the country, who hasn't seen a real wage increase since like 1979 in real dollars, and people who are in massive debt don't have, they're getting sued by insurance companies because they didn't cover procedures at the hospital or the doctor. They can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to finish their degree. If they work even 2 or 3 jobs, they still can't afford to put food on the table. All of the court systems they deal with are corrupt, whether it's family court or the local court, the county court, state court, federal court. We have a corrupt political system that's designed to keep these people in power. They're not better than you. They're not smarter than you. They don't know what they're not. Joe Biden is not some foreign policy genius. The guy could barely speak. He's got dementia, and they just know he's the safe candidate that can be manipulated, and everybody wins. All the people in power. So we are going to fight. We are not going to let them steal another election. There will be millions upon millions upon millions, as I've yelled, wearing the same outfit. I did wash the shirt, like my second video. This is a stolen primary. It's rigged. Get the facts. Do the research. Don't listen or don't get discouraged. We are going to fight this, and Bernie Sanders is cleaning house. Did you notice that they're calling all the elections for Biden like as soon as the polls close? It's like unprecedented in history. Like immediately, with like still only like 20% of the votes or 10% or 5% of the votes are in. For some reason, all the states that Sanders are winning takes a really long time for the polls to come in, and they push the media narrative that Biden's going to win everything and Bernie Sanders should drop out, even with all the cheating. Biden's only up by like 150, votes or whatever, and you need to get to 1991 to become the nominee in the first round without superdelegates getting involved. Bernie Sanders is crushing this election, and they're trying to steal it from him. We will win this election. We will not take the theft of democracy. We will take to the streets, and we will not let them push a fake election. Joe Biden will not be debating Donald Trump. He will not be campaigning, because we will insist that we get democracy. I don't care who you support. Do not allow this to happen. We are at a crucial time in world and U.S. history. We've contributed more climate change than any other nation on earth and almost all the other nations combined, and it's our responsibility to do all we can as the richest nation on earth to right the wrongs we've committed, and not just when it comes to the climate crisis. In many ways, we need $15 an hour isn't even a living wage. We need $25 an hour. We need social services. We need people to be able to go to school. We need people to work less. We need people to be able to work from home. We need to fund our HHS and our home. We need to fund so the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I mean, we got. Do you think coronavirus is a big deal? All the permafrost is melting all around the world, and diseases are going to pop up from literally millions and hundreds of millions and almost a billion years ago that we have no idea how to deal with, and they can wipe out the entire planet in the snap of a finger in a matter of a week, a day, maybe not a day, but like in a few days, maybe literally it could spread around the whole world and just wipe us out instantly. So we need to get up and we need to stand up for democracy, and we're not going to let them steal an election. The last time we let it happen, there weren't enough people in Philadelphia at the convention. There weren't enough people anywhere else. People were watching the mainstream media and listening to the narrative. They weren't doing independent research. Look to independent media. Look to nonprofit media. Look to Democracy Now. Look to The Intercept. Looking sometimes even within the corporate establishment media. This was a Boston Globe article. You got to dig. You got to use the internet to do research and to actually make sure your election isn't stolen. Democracy was never easy. The founding fathers, whoever you want to quote, that talked about democracy, said you had to be educated, informed, and you had to protest and you had to demand that the government represented your interests. Well, we need more representation by the people. We need less government. We need anarchy or direct democracy at the local level. All right? We don't need politicians to make decisions for us. They should only be people that represent us literally, and whatever we vote for, they should have to say. That's it. They shouldn't have the ability to just say whatever they want and do whatever they want and go against the will of the people. They should just be literally spokespersons for the laws that we write. We should have national holidays for elections, and we clearly need oversight of all of our elections. We should have paper ballots for every single vote. There should be a written paper ballot, and it should be monitored by independent organizations at every single polling place. We need massive oversight, and we should have the United Nations. We should be asking the United Nations to come in. I already sent a tweet on Occupy Hazlitt NJ and at Occupy Hazlitt NJ on one of my Twitter accounts, and my John Smith account, which is at NOFX52121. Shout out to NoFX over there. And I connected the that video I just showed you to I'm just for time purposes, the squad, Talib, AOC, Ilhan Omar, and I'm forgetting one. Forgive me. Sorry. A lot's going on. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, real Donald Trump, Stephen Colbert, I think Jon Stewart, just a ton of people, and they can't say that they don't know that this is happening. So this is absurd, and we need to stand up. We need to call senators. We need to call the DNC office, and that's what I'm going to do as soon as I'm done making my next video. So stand up, share this video, share the other sources. I'm going to put the links for the information I used for the Lee Camps video and for the Boston Globe video at the bottom of this this video. I'm gonna put only a few tags, and we're gonna get this out there, and we're gonna let people know that they're not gonna steal our election, and Bernie Sanders is kicking ass like all the polls have been saying for a long time. All right,